2,000 weeks. That's how long an average human lives for, if they're lucky. Now, a few of these weeks are spent in the comfort of our homes, surrounded by the love and warmth of our families. A few of these weeks are spent laughing with friends, losing track of time. And a few of these weeks are spent in solidarity, discovering who you truly are. But nearly 2,000 of these weeks are spent working. So let me ask you, how many of those weeks do you wish that you were on an island in the Caribbean vacationing instead? How many of those weeks do you spend counting down the hours to finally go back home? And how many of those weeks do you wish that you were anywhere but where you currently are? Growing up, I heard the sighs at the dinner tables. I heard adults around me mutter the words, "Oh, I can't stay. I have work tomorrow." Like it was a prison sentence. And it scared me that eventually I would have to succumb to the mundane, boring cycle that we call having a job, or essentially the bane of human existence. So, when it was time for me to pick the subjects that would lead to my eventual demise, I was filled with anxiety. But then I started noticing some hidden treasures, signs that maybe impending doom wasn't heading my way. And it all started with my cat's long hair. You see, at this particular grooming appointment, I had an epiphany. I stared raptly as the man trimmed my cat's fur, but it wasn't his dexterity with the scissors drawing my attention. It was the way his eyes were completely glued to what he was doing, like nothing else in the world mattered. Another hidden gem was my geography teacher, who could never stop talking about the rocks she'd collected or the photos of clouds she'd chased, and hence could never finish any of her lessons on time. But that was because she didn't just teach geography, she lived it. I realized then that there are two different kinds of people: those who drag through their days and those whose days pull them forward. The difference between them is simple: how they felt when they said the words, "I have work tomorrow." This difference comes from tending to your inner fire, which is like a quiet warmth that only you can feel. Sometimes burning bright, sometimes barely glowing, sometimes threatened by the winds of expectation, but always present. Find the spark that ignites your inner fire. Now, at the beginning, this fire will be more like a tiny flame, a flame that may burn out easily if not tended to, a flame that may require several sparks to finally start up. Finding your inner fire doesn't necessarily mean finding something that you're good at, but finding something that you're willing to devote your sweat, blood, and tears to eventually get good at. You may be mesmerized by the prowess that dancers possess, effortlessly creating illusions with their body, but be unable to do a little twirl without stumbling to defeat. You may be in awe of the way your favorite author manages to transport you to other realms with just their words, but forget the ability to form a coherent sentence when asked to describe the main themes of Shakespeare's works on your finals. I remember being 10 years old, sitting in front of the television, watching Emma Watson at the United Nations, clad in her white dress suit and her hair in a low ponytail, emanating confidence as she walked up to the podium. And then, when she spoke, everything else receded into the background, and all I could focus on were her words. I didn't hear my mother's repeated calls to dinner. I forgot all about the assignment that I was supposed to be working on, and didn't even realize that I was holding my breath till my father tapped me on my shoulder and broke me from my reverie. I was amazed how her words yielded enough power to conquer the world. Now, this devotion was akin to the man with the cat shears and my geography teacher. But there was one tiny difference. I didn't want to become a master of scissors and fur upon seeing the man, and as much as I did love my geography teacher, I had no intention in pledging allegiance to a life of rocks and clouds. But seeing Emma Watson there, I felt a spark. I too wanted to have the same power with my words, and what better way to conquering the world with your words than taking part in a public speaking competition on gratitude? That's right, naive little 6th grade me really did think that this was her moment and that she could become the embodiment of Emma Watson. But sadly, what you want isn't always what you get, because I completely stuttered my way through this 1-minute script on the power of gratitude. And here's the catch. I wasn't delivering the script in front of an intimidating set of judges or teachers. I was delivering the script in front of my computer because the competition was online. That's right, couldn't deliver a 1-minute script online. But the moral of the story here isn't that I got completely and utterly humiliated. It's that I was willing to get humiliated. Not just in this competition, but in many more to come. Had it been a dance or an art or a chess competition, this humiliation would have killed me. But because becoming as good as Emma Watson was the spark that ignited my inner fire, it is what built me. And eventually, this humiliation turned into something else. It turned into not completely stuttering through the script. It turned into little victories. It turned into feeling proud of myself. And it turned into one step closer to becoming as good as Emma Watson. Because eventually, you will crack the code. The code on how to perfect your dance moves. The code on how to analyze Shakespeare's texts. The code on how to calm your frazzled nerves before delivering a speech. Your internal fire will no longer be lit by an accidental spark. You will now hold the flint and steel to ignite it and mold it into whatever you want. So that one day, when you have to leave a party early, you don't feel the need to apologize because you are anything but sorry when you say, I have work tomorrow. Thank you.